Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. And this is your host, Beck Mylonas, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another episode of Cracked Open, a podcast helping you to become a vessel for unconditional love. Today I'm bringing through a transmission of energy which has already started moving through me before I even got onto this podcast to start talking, and whoo, it's a strong one, right? So the invitation, as always on this podcast, is to really feel into the energy beneath what I'm saying, beneath the words, beneath what it is that I am sharing. So today, let's have a quick sip of tea before I get started and feel for where to begin. Today, I want to get into Mary Magdalene. So I've got a lot of Magdalena energy coming through me today, and I wanted to speak on behalf of Mary Magdalene and the lineage of the Rose, and speak into what the Rose Priestess was, what was the purpose of these mystery school trainings back in the day, what these priestesses, these scarlet coded priestesses would do, and what that energy feels like for women, particularly to be able to harness and tap into, right? So those of you who know Mary Magdalene, I think I want to begin by demystifying some of her story, and that feels like a really good place to begin. So many of you will know Mary Magdalene. I'm going to close my eyes as I can channel her through here. Many of you will know her as a disciple, as the one who followed Christ, right? And so you will maybe know of her from the Bible as a whore or a prostitute. And the first thing I really want to speak into, and it's so important to speak into this because there is such a larger undercurrent to this assumption that has been made about her being a whore, is that she was not a prostitute, right? Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute. She was Christ's counterpart, right? They were sacred counterparts. They were together in this beautiful sacred union, and she was his favorite, right? Christ is not meant to have favorites, but he did, and it was Mary, right? And there are books that have been taken out of the Bible, such as the Gospel of Thomas, which say things like, he kissed her on the lips, right? Which constitutes a romantic relationship or a connection, right? She was also the first person there when he resurrected. So they had a beautiful relationship. And much like his mother Mary, as in Mother Mary, Christ and Mary were actually Essenes, right? So they were part of a ancient, we didn't call it foundation, like a mystery school training, which was alchemy. It was training in the alchemies of Isis and Horus and ancient Egypt. So they were trained in these mystery schools. And this is where Jesus was for all of his, lost years. He was training in mystery schools. And the Essenes knew of Jesus' coming, right? They knew that Jesus was coming well before he came. And the three of them, they were part of this mystery school. So Mother Mary, Jesus's mother, who was also part of this Rose lineage, actually was prepared for a really long time to be able to bring forth this prophet, right? Christ, through her. And she was involved in the same lineage of this training, which goes way back to, as I was saying, ancient Egypt mystery schools. So Jesus and Mary, divine couple, right? After Jesus left or crossed over or whatever you want to call it, completed his mission, Mary went on to then seed mystery schools. She went to continue the teachings that her and Christ would teach together. She was beside him teaching, right? It wasn't just Christ by himself. She went on to seed many mystery schools. She went towards England. So she moved to like the Avalonian area. She moved to the Stonehenge area. And there's many sacred sites around England. I personally have not been to them, so I can't say this for sure, but she went there, and legend has it they had a child, Sarah. So Jesus and Mary had a child, Sarah. And she finished out her life by herself with her child out in England somewhere, right? Which is the heart chakra of the earth, teaching the ministry that her and Jesus were sharing, which is Christ consciousness, right? So why am I sharing this for you and with you today. I think the most important thing around Mary Magdalene is that she was misconstrued, right? She was called a prostitute. She was called a whore. She was defamed. They tried to frame her in the Bible, which was obviously a man-made, well, it came down from the prophets or from God or whatever you want to call it, but it was man-made, and how it was then, there were parts of the Bible which were excluded or not excluded or whatever, and that was a man who was deciding this, right? It didn't look good for Jesus to have a counterpart who was a female. It didn't look good that they were trained in these mystery schools, right? None of that looked good or served the agenda that the parties in control were trying to serve with the agenda that they were trying to push, right? That Jesus was the Son of God and all of these things. So that was all conveniently cut out of the Bible. And Mary was deemed a prostitute. She was deemed to have demons in her. She was deemed to have all of these things, when truly she was one of the most powerful priestesses who ever walked this earth. And so the Rose lineage is a collective of priestesses who take this mystery school training from the ancient Egypt schools, which were seeded by Isis and Hathor. And this is how to work with the Kundalini, to work with the life force energy. Tantric practices. It is working with the womb space. It's working with the heart space to create alchemy, right? So these people trained in these lineages were alchemists. They were capable, like Jesus was, of creating something from nothing, materializing, manifesting objects into being, right? And this was because they were alchemists. They were trained using their life force, using alchemical practices that they were taught in ancient Egypt in the schools of Isis and Hathor, right? And these lineages would pass those teachings down through the line of priestesses. There was a time when this kind of died off, and I know that the Essenes are still kind of present. They still exist really underground, but largely these priestess lineages have died off, and now they are making a resurgence because this wisdom and knowledge is ready to come back. So these priestesses and Rose Priestesses really specifically work with life force energy. They work with Shakti, they work with Kundalini, they work with the womb, the heart, and the throat in combination with each other. I told you this would be an activation. Expect me to make a lot more weird sounds as this stuff is coming through, right? And with the womb, the throat, and the heart all in connection, that is a female in all of her power, right? Her womb is the open gateway or the portal to other dimensions. That is the place where all life begins. The womb is a chalice. The womb is a gateway for all of creation. If you do not think your womb is important, I want you to consider that life comes from, and in the first impact of life comes into the womb. Your first point of contact into this earth was your mother's womb, right? The womb is the portal to the whole galaxy and universe. So what better way to diminish women and their power than to shame them in their sexual energy, to call them whores, right? To stop them practicing womb practices, connecting to their womb, connecting to their sexual energy, connecting to their creative life force energy, cutting them off from their source, right? So your womb is so fucking powerful. Your womb has the capacity to transmute trauma like this, right? It has the capacity to seed all of creation. We all came from the cosmic womb. There are also certain gates within the womb that can help us to travel interdimensionally and connect to a whole bunch of different places, right? Different dimensions, different frequencies. Moving into the heart is the gateway, the rainbow gateway to unity consciousness. The sacred mission heart is where our mission codex is stored, right? Where our higher mission, our soul mission is stored. The heart is where we connect in union with another. This is where the tantric practices of alchemy and sex magic come from, when we combine both our sexual centers, so our womb, our yoni, our sacral, our root, all of those lower beneath the solar plexus, and the solar plexus, of course, but our lower chakras, our sexual centers, we combine them with our heart. So we are connecting with someone on the level of both the sacral, the womb, and the heart, right? Then we are able to merge into infinite allness, infinite nothingness, infinite connection with someone else. And this is extremely, I can't even get the words out. This is extremely potent creative potential, right? Sex magic is when you are capable of wielding this eros, wielding, I can feel it moving through my body as I'm saying it, wielding this creative potential, this life force energy, the Shakti, the Kundalini, whatever it is, right? Wielding it through those lower centers, bringing it up into the heart, merging it with someone, and then sending it out into your intention. You can transmute trauma, like through the womb space, using this sexual energy very quickly, right? Very, very quickly. I had a session with a dear friend of mine slash client on the weekend, and this woman had extreme trauma, right? She shared with me her book, and in her book, she shares all of the extreme trauma that she went through as a child. I'm talking, and this is what do you want to call it? A trigger warning around sexual abuse, right? So I need to say this before I go in. This woman was abused from infanthood. Since she was a 10-month-old baby, she was sexually abused. Every man that entered her life up until the age of 20 abused her sexually in some way. The amount of sexual trauma this woman was carrying was profound. In one session, by connecting her to this womb gate, connecting her to this sexual energy, we were able to transmute that, right? Immaterialize it, decompose it, completely dissolve it into the frequency of divine love. And in her sexual energy, in the potency of her feminine, raw sexual energy, right? This is very fucking powerful energy. It's the energy that created you. It's the energy that creates worlds, right? So of course, people are going to want to shut us off from that and, label us all sorts of things when we start tapping into it, and using it consciously to create, right? And you can do this with yourself. So you can do this through a self-pleasure practice, or even through just connecting to things that make you feel in touch with this energy. It doesn't need to be sexual. It can just be things that excite you, like the energy for me of money or abundance, or even like nature brings on that energy because it's the energy of abundance. It's the energy of creation, right? And cultivate that energy, right? Cultivate it with intention and send it towards either something that you want to create or something that you want to destroy and dissolve, right? So within the space of an hour, this woman, she had all of this trauma, and then she was breathing and like orgasming energetically and moaning on the bed within 30 minutes because we cleared it all. And she was able to bring that beautiful sexual, like turned on, excited, creative, feminine, sensual energy back online. And it was her potential to be able to hold pleasure and be in her body, right? So these priestesses were really, really attuned to and trained to be able to hold immense amounts of pleasure and life force energy in their bodies and wield this to create with, wield this to create, manifest things with, right? Wield this to alchemize pain and suffering, wield this to shift the world around them, right? Within themselves and the world around them. And this is what sex magic is. And this is what we can do with a partner. This is what Tantra is. It's not necessarily about having 50-minute, orgasms, which it definitely that happens when it's just natural byproduct of this energy, right? But Tantra is using this life force with another, consciously directing it towards something, towards creation, to connection with God, connection with self, connection with another, right? These Rose Priestesses were also really in the energy of unconditional love and compassion. So they have trained themselves to be able to withstand intense emotions, right? Emotional mastery beyond what most of us are capable of. To be able to be with the, like, fucking Jesus dying on the cross, for instance, be with the most painful, horrific thing and be able to love it, right? And through loving it, they were able to shift that experience and shift the density of the frequency so it was a higher frequency. And this is why the Rose Priestesses not only tune into high, light, feminine archetypes such as the lover or, the mother or, the siren or whatever that is, but also the darker aspects. So like Kalima, the seductress, the witch, the shaman, right? The medicine woman. They're able to go into these really dark places without fear and shine the light there, shine love there. And that's what part of this lineage, this rose lineage is. It's bringing compassion, bringing love, bringing softness, bringing devotion to the more difficult aspects or darker aspects of life. And so these priestesses don't turn away from it. They use it to alchemize into growth. That's what being a priestess is. It's an alchemist. You're alchemizing. You have the capacity to alchemize pain into pleasure, right? Pain into pleasure, darkness into light, anxiety into excitement, eros into creation. So it's taking one thing and being able to move it into another thing, and doing this via your life force energy. So obviously they were working with their kundalini, as I said. They were working with moving it through their bodies. They were working through cultivating it. They were working through heightening and extending it, right? They were also working with their throats. So they were working with toning. You might have heard me toning earlier, using their voice, the vibration in their throats to move and shape matter, right? Speaking things into existence, singing, moving buildings with their throats, right? That's what we used to do back in the day. Way, 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 way back when we were seated here by the extraterrestrial beings. We were taught all of these things. They are within our DNA. So then if you ask, where did the Essenes or the Rose Priestesses come from? Well, as I said, they were seated here in the original priestess lineages, in the original mystery schools of ancient Egypt and beyond, before ancient Egypt, right? It wasn't just in ancient Egypt. It was when our galactic forefathers and mothers came here and seated us here. They taught us all of these things, these ways of being, the spiritual technology. I have memories, guys. And this is something that came online really recently for me. And it's kind of wacky to even be admitting this here on a podcast. But, you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I don't fucking hold back on any of this shit. I have memories on being a half Anunnaki, half human breeder, right? So one of the women who, or I wasn't human, but one of the goddesses who were here to hold human, half, you know, half goddess, half human babies in my womb, and to incubate them, right? To literally incubate them in my own fucking womb space, and then take them to the priestess schools and teach them the ways of Isis. Isis was a goddess, right? She wasn't human. She was a goddess. She was, whoa, and I feel her coming through now. And Isis is having a message, and she's like, remember the magic, like remember the magic that is seated in your DNA. Remember the magic that is seated in your room space. Remember what we have taught you, and it has gone dormant, but it is coming back online, and it is ready to come back online, but you need to cultivate it. This energy is something that you need to cultivate through your own mastery, through your own devotion to your sacred womb, to your heart, to your throat, through your own ability to alchemize what is coming up for you to alchemize in your life, through your experiences. And there's just a transmission of frequency, so I'm just letting this come through, this memory of what it was to be seated, right? We are superhuman fucking alchemists. We are not these limited little humans who have no control over what we are creating. We are creators. We are fucking seated by gods and goddesses who knew how to create out of nothing, right? That's what Christ consciousness is. We've talked about this on here, so I'm not going to go into it. We have this potential within us. And the Rose lineage is a collection of women and even men, right? Because Jesus, I kind of lump him in with that lineage. Even intergalactic beings support that lineage. I know that there's dragons supporting that lineage. I know that the Venusian beings very much support that lineage. I can feel their energy coming through, woo, which is really nice. Oh, it's like straight, pure, beautiful Venus, sexual, feminine energy. There are many lineages supporting this Rose lineage, and many different beings that support this lineage. There's also seraphim supporting this lineage. And what I want to say about it is that it's encoded within us, right? And so these beings who come through these mystery school trainings and through this lineage are reminding us of the power that we have stored within our own bodies. And that power means that we don't have to go through our fucking lives feeling disconnected and shut off and shameful and, you know, guilty of our pleasure and guilty of desiring things. Like, no, it's like tapping into those fucking desires and creating from that place of desire and eros, using our desires as fuel for our creation and our creativity, right? This is something that I embody. And so I'm not just saying this as like a fucking selling point. We have the capacity to be truly orgasmic beings, right? I walk around 70% of my time feeling extreme orgasmic pleasure through my body and bliss, right? And that's a constant state of being. It's not all the time because I'm human and, you know, I have human shit, and especially with this energy, definitely knocks me around, right? But a lot of the time, I am moving immense pleasure through my body all the time without even thinking about anything sexual, without being in an involvement with someone sexually, without touching myself, without doing anything that is sexual. I feel this because it is just aliveness, right? That energy is just life force. It's just aliveness. And being here and being human can be truly fucking pleasurable. And we get to have what we desire. And we get to create beautiful things that make us feel juicy and make us feel excited. We're here to be in that lovership with all of life, not just waiting for a partner to come here and make us feel that, right? We are here to hold that amount of self-love and juiciness and pleasure and goodness and fucking excitement and creativity and sensuality in our bodies, right? I have seen women come to me who were so disconnected from their bodies that when we started connecting them again, they said to me, holy fuck, I never thought I would feel like this. I never thought I could look in the mirror and say, holy shit, you are so beautiful, right? I never thought I could go to a dance class and move my body and think, oh my God, it's like Aphrodite is moving through me. And so many of us have such deep resentment and hate for ourselves and our bodies that we can't even connect to this. We can't even connect to the thought of feeling desirable or feeling pleasurable or feeling sensual or feeling feminine, right? And so this is what this rose lineage represents. This is what rose or scarlet codes is. It's really embodying that life force through your body. It's embodying that life force through your existence. It's embodying it through how you move, through how you talk, through how you move through life. And it makes you magnetic. When you're wielding this life force, it makes you magnetic. It makes you irresistible to that which you are attracting because it just gravitates towards you, right? I had a healing session on the weekend and I was shown that I'm in 5% of my magnetism. You know how many fucking people come to me all the time and they say, I don't know how I found you or like who you are, but I need to work with you. And I just feel your energy. And it's like, whoa, I'm like magnetized to you and I can't look away even though you scare the shit out of me. This is a constant thing that happened to me, right? Happens to me. That was 5% of my magnetism. We turned it up. I can't even begin to imagine what it's going to be like moving forward. Because this is what happens when we are radiating out this good, positive, fucking sexual energy. We become like beacons of radiance. We become the goddess because that life force, God, is flowing through us. And people become magnetized to you, right? Magnetized. Money becomes magnetized to you. Amazing situations become magnetized to you. You don't have to work so hard. You learn that just being in your joy, being in your pleasure, being in your sensual energy, things just gravitate towards you really quickly. So if you were a woman and you were listening to this and you're like, that all sounds great, but I'm not even fucking connected to my feminine energy and listening to this is just making me depressed, you don't even understand the potential that lies within you and you don't have to keep living the way that you have been living, right? I was so cut off from my body for so much of my life. I didn't even know how to be in my body. I didn't want to be in my body because there was so much pain and trauma there, right? And I want you to know that every single one of us, man, woman, whatever, particularly women, have the capacity to feel this good, to feel radiant, to feel confident, to feel sexy, to feel fucking magnetic, to feel powerful, to feel like magicians, alchemists. We all have that capacity. We just need to turn it on, right? This is seated in our DNA. It is what we are designed to be. It's who we were always meant to be. We were just taught because of conditioning and because of shaming and body shaming and fucking Instagram and whatever else that who we are is not enough, that we have to repress parts of ourselves, that we have to shut this energy down because it's bad or it's sinful or it's shameful or whatever it is, right? No, that is not the reality. That is not the truth. The other thing I will say just came through, it just flashed in my brain. This woman, after I did a session on her, she was like really orgasmic all night, and her son was like, holy shit, what's happened? Mommy, like, are you okay? Like, I don't understand what's happening. What are those sounds that you're making? What was Beck doing to you up there? That's weird. But the next morning she came into my room and she said, Beck, I was having dreams all last night around different women and like sexual dreams around women, and what the hell? And I remember for me, when I started tapping into my sexual energy, my sacred sexual energy, and these tantric, tantric work and the Kundalini and all of this stuff, unpacking it, I too had dreams of women, like lots of really sexual, graphic dreams of women where I would wake up orgasming and I'd be like, what the hell? I really enjoyed that, but I'm pretty sure I'm straight. I'm bisexual, right? So I've experimented and I find women incredibly sexually alluring, but I like dick, guys. Like that's, I'm just gotta be blunt. I like dick. I'm here to be with a man. Having said that though, I know that gravitation or this attraction to women is because we, in the temple days, used to activate each other this way, right? The women would activate the other women. The priestesses, the high priestesses would activate the high priestesses through yoni massages, through moving this energy through sensual massages. This is what the temples were, right? And there's a lot of fucking shit out there in the tantric world around temple spaces that are just unregulated and not consensual and horrible. And so I don't even want to get involved in the tantra community because it's so problematic. But the basis of what they're trying to do is something that we've always had back in these priestess lineages, back in these mystery schools. That sexual alchemy was something that we've initiated each other into as women since the dawn of time, to awaken this energy, right? Awaken our womb space. One woman's Shakti awakens another. So if you get nothing from this fucking transmission, at least get the life force energy that is moving through my body to remind yours of what the potential can be like, right? And then the women go and they would initiate the men. And then together, the men and the women would come together and they would be in these divine couples, in these sacred union. I'm crying because I can feel mine and it's so beautiful. Yeah, there's energy coming through here, right? And they would, wow, they would come together in this unconditional love. And with this beautiful, pure, unconditional love, they would completely dissolve anything in their area, any pain, any trauma, any density. The ripple effect of this magic coming together, the two snakes, the two kundalini snakes, the feminine and the masculine coming together into unity, creates such an explosive, powerful love that it obliterates all pain, all suffering. I really hope you guys can feel this because it's so beautiful and it's so powerful. And this is the core of what the Rose Priestess lineage is. It is preparing you for this level of love. And this is not necessarily with a partner. So this is also within yourself. Because before I could even tune into these potentials of my partner, where I've had visuals and like literally I've had visions of us teaching other couples this. So I've had visions of my masculine counterpart doing this with other couples. Even without that, I have been doing this myself. So I've been experiencing what it's like to be fucked by God in this way, fucked by the divine. And yes, that sounds very crass, but that's what it feels like, being penetrated by God, like the divine, right? It's orgasmic union. It's sacred union. That's what it is. It's coming home to all of the love of the feminine, the masculine, just penetrating you deeply into your core. And so you just dissolve into this love and you're outpouring love. And everyone that encounters you just feels love. That's all that's coming through you. It's just pure love. And now it's coming through, finally, the transmission of really what this frequency is. It's pure, unconditional love. A love that can just dissolve any pain that you're holding on to, any trauma, right? So we're in times now where we don't have to carry all of the shit that we've been carrying our whole lifetimes. Like I said, this woman in this session the other day, that's like 20 years of fucking intense trauma that we cleared within 30 minutes because I was just holding her in this much love. And I was seeing her and I was willing to go there with her, right? We need to be willing to hold the hands of our sisters, our brothers, whoever it is, and hold them in their darkness, their pain, their suffering, their most intense moments. The stuff that is so shameful, is so dark, it's so hard that they don't think anyone can hold them in it. And hold them in love and just say, I see you. I see that fucking life force in you. I see that feminine in you. I see your essence in you wanting to be freed. I see it and I love you and I'm here, right? That's what this priestess lineage is about. It's about going into those dark, shameful, hidden places and just obliterating them with love and learning then how to do that with sisters. Then taking that and learning that how to do that in sacred union with a partner, right? And so we're merging with everyone and everything. We are just being this beacon of fucking unconditional love out in the world, shining our radiance out into the world and showing people we can all feel this good. We all get to have wealth. We all get to have pleasure. We all get to have joy. We can all really, truly feel this fucking good. And we're worthy of it because we are divine, right? It's encoded in our DNA. We are literally made of the gods. And that's not to say we are gods. And I talk about this in my book, which is coming out soon, around having the arrogance of thinking that we're God, not gods, but we are God. We are the creator, is what fucked us up in Atlantis, right? So we don't want to be arrogant about it and think that we are the be all and end all, because while we are one with God and therefore we are gods, we are also little in comparison to the big G, God, right? The creator. And so therefore we need to humble ourselves in order for this energy to truly move through us. We need to be cracked open and connected to love. So this energy doesn't destroy, because the thing is, this energy can destroy. As much as it can create, it can destroy, right? So our intentions need to be pure, so we don't destroy with this energy, because it's fucking explosive, right? But that's no excuse to then shut it down and not tap into it at all, because then they've won, right? So this is where I want to leave this transmission. I was all over the fucking place today. So I apologize for that. I am opening, and I have been guided to open, a mystery school training called Rose Codes. We start on the 6th of the 6th. At this stage, that's when we're due to start, 2024. Depending when you're watching this, it may be like well past this. And in that case, go read my book, because I get into all of this there. And in this mystery school training, it's a lineage of the rose training, right? So everything I've touched on today, that's where we're going. It's going to go so much deeper than that. It's a mystery school. So literally anything is on fucking offer, but you're going to get a huge Kundalini awakening, huge heart opening, huge throat opening. Your womb codes will come online for sure. We'll be working with Isis, with Hathor, with Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Jesus. I do feel the dragons in there. I definitely feel Venus codes. Wow. Ooh. Lots of divine feminine lover codes, siren codes, sensual codes. So if you really want to embody this sensual, sexual, fucking sexy, juicy, feminine energy, if you want to tap into your feminine power, your yoni, your pussy, to be able to feel this good and to create and magnetize this way, check it out. I'm going to drop the link below in the show notes, and on my Instagram, my Facebook, all of those things. So please check it out. If that sings to you guys, it's going to be one of the most powerful things I've ever facilitated. I'm super excited. I've definitely held mystery school trainings before, but not specifically on Scarlett and Rose codes. So I just know, and I can feel what is coming, and it's going to be pretty profound. So check that out. If this has resonated with you, please subscribe, give me a comment, let me know if my rambling served today, because as I said, I know it was kind of like woo all over the place, but that is what I want to share today. We are fucking creators, right? So don't forget that. Don't forget that you are seated with the DNA that created literally fucking everything that is within you. So there is your permission slip to feel worthy today. If you were like, I didn't get out of bed, and the only thing I've done is listen to Beck talk and ramble for 20 minutes, and I feel like a sack of shit, well, does it matter? Because you are divine, right? You were created by the same life force that created everything, and that is running through you. So you are worthy, right? You are worthy. That is where I'm going to leave it today. Until next time, beautiful souls, I love you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do, or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to beckmylotus.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.